You're watching Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Lots of Bears rumors and a couple of news items to get into. And yeah, it's a busy one, so let's go ahead and get started. Are we going Dak to the future at the quarterback position? Okay, all jokes aside, look, Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys did not come to terms on a long-term extension, as you guys know. He's going to play under the tag this year. And look, my argument here and so some of the stuff I've been reading on the internet is if the Cowboys weren't willing to pay top dollar on a long-term deal this offseason, why will they next offseason? Unless Dak leads Dallas to a Super Bowl, which is pretty unlikely because it's hard to win a Super Bowl in the NFL, it's hard to believe that they're going to come to terms on a long-term deal next offseason because it's going to have to start at least at $38 million, considering the tag is expected to be about $37.7 million. For Dak Prescott. Then obviously it jumps up to 55. So look, if Dallas doesn't secure him after this season, he's probably at most going to be gone by 2022. But I think there's a small possibility that Dak could be a tag and trade candidate. Now I think it's pretty unlikely for next offseason, way more likely in 2022. But it's something worth exploring depending on how these seasons go for both the Cowboys and the Bears. Obviously, if the Bears really struggle, need a new quarterback, you got to figure something out because we've talked about that a lot. The future at the quarterback position, very uncertain. And hey, Dallas struggles or they go like 8-8 again. They don't want to commit long term. Maybe something like this could be on the table between these two sides. Now, obviously for this year, it's Foles, it's Trubisky. More on Nick Foles later on in the show. But you tell me, is the quarterback of the future on this roster? I don't really think it is. Like, unless Trubisky out of nowhere, takes a massive step forward this year, then a guy like Dak Prescott would be a clear upgrade for the Chicago Bears. And hey, he threw for almost 5,000 yards last year. The Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer in their franchise's history. Think about that for just a couple of seconds. Now, I want to ask you this question. Should the Bears target Dak next offseason? You're the GM. You're in charge, and I'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. If you think they should, type Y for yes. If you think they shouldn't, go ahead and type your N for no. Now, I teased Nick Foles a little bit here. This is an interesting one because I'm actually on the other side here. Does the lack of a preseason help the veteran Nick Foles? That's what NBC Chicago claimed, J.J. Stankovitz in particular, saying, hey, look, he's a veteran. Here's the quote. Fewer or no games benefits Foles, who, again, has less to prove. Fewer practices probably benefit Foles, too, even though he needs time to develop relationships with his offensive line and the guys he'll be throwing to. That seems a little contradictory within one sentence, but we'll keep going. Trubisky needs as many practices and games as possible to prove he's not the quarterback he was the last 3 seasons. Now, that last part is certainly a little bit true, and more on this story in a second. But first, I want to remind you guys, and the NFL just announced, you want to go to game. If fans are at games this year, got to wear face covering. So if you're planning to be at Soldier Field, go ahead and get a Bears face mask. Chatsports.com/Bears masks. Those Khalil Mack ones are available now as well. Lots of different styles. You got the singles, the 2-packs, 3-packs, the 4-packs. Little secret, the more you commit to, better bang for your buck. This 4-pack is just $29.99, while the solo ones are $14.99. So do the math there. Chatsports.com/Bears masks. Check the comments, check the description. The link will be in there. Make it easy for you guys to shop today. Now, I don't really get this argument because certainly on the surface, okay, yeah, a veteran doesn't need a lot of new time. But it's Nick Foles with a new team. Even though he has some familiarity with this coaching staff, it's not like Cam Newton in New England, who is a proven MVP winner and has played at a very high level for a good chunk of his career. That's not the case with Nick Foles. He's, to be honest, been about a backup 70% of his career. Like, I liked the acquisition. I think competition is good, and I've said all offseason I would roll with Nick Foles, but that's more because Trubisky wasn't really that good last year. Like, I don't really get this idea of if you wipe out the preseason, Trubisky is screwed. Isn't it kind of the other way around? Doesn't that make more sense? I think the lack of a preseason means that the thing that makes more sense is let's keep the incumbent starter and Mitchell Trubisky, give him the first crack at least to start the season as the Bears starting quarterback. Now, I'll leave it to you guys. Who benefits more from no preseason? Is it Nick Foles? Is it Mitchell Trubisky? Type F for Foles, type T for Trubisky. I actually think it's Trubisky, and that's why I said in our last video, I'm starting to lean toward him being your week 1 starter. Now, before we continue with more Bears rumors and news items here, mailbag soon. You guys know the drill. Use hashtag Bears to get your questions on the show. Already got a few stashed up on a video from last week. I got some Twitter questions. I promise you guys those would be on the show, but we got room for a few more, so use hashtag Bears and ask away, and I'll get to as many as I can on our upcoming mailbag. Next rumor here, how about signing Devonta Freeman? We talked about this in the past, but a little update here. He has hired a super agent, Drew Rosenhaus, who pretty much represents everybody at this point in the NFL, it seems. And he claims, hey, I'm getting him on a team in the, by late July. So here we go. We want to work out a deal in the immediate future, and we are open to any team. He's healthy, he's in shape, and I'm on a mission to have him give a team a lift in late July. Well, we're kind of in late July. Was it the 22nd today, whatever it is? I think that's right. I don't even know what day it is anymore due to the coronavirus. But, look, if that's true, that means in the next week to 10 days, he's hoping to get Freeman on a squad, and I do think the Bears make some sense. Now, there's no doubt Devonta Freeman's a declining running back in the NFL. His knees are a little bit shot. He's lost half a step, probably a full step, but you look at the depth chart, there's carries to be had. David Montgomery is going to be your workhorse back. Cohen's more of your gadget guy, though. Maybe he gets up to 5 carries a game, but he's going to be more impactful on kind of jet sweep type of stuff, in the passing game certainly. What is Ryan Nall or Artavis Pierce going to make, the roster and have an impact? Maybe. I think Devonta Freeman would be an excellent guy to come in, give 6 to 8 carries per game, be that veteran influence in that running back room as well. Obviously, it'll come down to price in the end. So should the Bears sign Devonta Freeman? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. If the money's reasonable, he wants to come in, 1 year, $3 million, I think it makes a lot of sense. I would type my 1 for yes. What I would also do and encourage you guys to do is to subscribe here to Chicago Bears Now. We're at like 5 videos per week. I keep asking the bosses, I want to do daily videos. I want to do live videos eventually. Need more subscribers. That's just how it works. So go ahead, subscribe. We just crossed 10,000 subs. Let's get to 11 as fast as possible. And if you want to spread the word, you see the link below. It's in the description, youtube.com/Bears Now. Share that with your Bears buddies, and let's continue to grow this channel together. All right, this is more self-generated from me, and this is built on the idea that, look, no preseason. What does that mean? Probably some sloppy play early in the NFL season, the first 2 to 4 weeks, I suspect, especially from offenses. I think the Bears' veteran defense with a lot of talent should be able to feast and take advantage of that opportunity, whereas, look, the Bears' offense probably going to struggle a little bit early on, but the defense should be able to tee off. You got veterans on all 3 levels of this defense. Sure, that cornerback number 2 spot is a little up for grabs, but I love the front 7. I like Fuller and Jackson in the back end. I think Gibson's a veteran player that is not going to take much time to get up to speed. I think this Bears defense, especially when you factor in the start of this schedule, should be able to do well. Lions coming off a poor year. Sure, Stafford's a good quarterback, but I like their chances. They've owned Detroit in recent years. Giants, young quarterback, young skill group. Below average offensive line. Love that for the Bears defense. At Atlanta, obviously more of a veteran group there, but you got the Colts. Who knows what Phillip Rivers looks like in a new system? He's aging. I think that's an opportunity as well. You got Carolina in Week 6. You got a whole new team, basically. The Rams, who you embarrassed a couple of years ago when Jared Goff really struggled. Now, obviously, the schedule kicks up into gear a little bit. There's opportunities, though, early on in this schedule, though, for this defense to really, really tee off. And if the offense can come into its own and just be, average to above average, I like this Bears' chances of making the playoffs this season, led by the defense due to being a veteran group and having a chance to really, really take advantage of the early part of the schedule. I think Chicago will be a good team early on due to the lack of a preseason. Some news to get to before we wrap things up. They have signed their draft picks, led by, of course, Cole Kmet and Jalen Johnson, the 2 second-round picks. Kmet has signed Johnson. The other veterans or the other rookies have agreed to terms as well. This is just rookie draft picks, not UDFAs, of course. They reported to Hallis Hall as well on Tuesday as the training camp process kind of starts to get underway. They got to test for coronavirus, got to test again a couple of days later. Then veterans come. You guys know the drill by now. Hopefully training camp gets going by the 1st or 2nd week of August. Look, these 2 rookies, though, I'm going to focus on are Kmet and Jalen Johnson. We've talked about both these guys. I think they can come in and have a chance to compete. these guys need to have need to contribute as rookies, especially Johnson, because I think he's got a chance to be your CB2, and with limited training camp, that could be a tricky spot on this Bears defense that is otherwise loaded across the board. That is one of the few spots on this defense that could struggle a little bit, especially early on. But Kmet and Johnson, pieces for the present and for the future. Good on the Bears for getting their rookie draft picks signed. Now, obviously, we focus on these two guys a little bit more, but who will have the bigger impact in 2020 as a rookie? Type K for Cole Kmet, type J for Jalen Johnson. Let me know down in the comments section. Just real quick to remind you guys who the other picks are. These deals have been done as well. Trevis Gibson, 5th-round guy. The Bears really like him coming off the edge. Kendall Vilder, I think he can compete for a nickel type of role. Darnell Mooney, the wide receiver out of Tulane. And then a couple of offensive linemen there, Arlington Hambright and Latavius Simmons. All these guys have signed. They're in camp. Once training camp gets rolling, I'll be fascinated to see which rookies contribute in 2020.